I saw a rainbow yesterday.
How did it make you feel?
Made me feel like I really do look like that dude from Lucky Charms. It's like something's going on here. Hey, James is here. You guys ready to go?
Ready?
All right. I'm out. Ooh, I gotta click that third camera. James. Hey, can you hear me? James, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Big Handsome, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We're good to go. Hey, I just want to hit the third camera real quick.
All right.
You're looking well exfoliated, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
You look like a freshly baked cookie.
This is beach life, man. Just getting all the vitamin D I can.
Hey, man. Well, it's good to see your face. I've seen you on TV a bunch, but thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me, man. And I apologize for some technical difficulties. I, like an idiot, was doing some work downstairs on the house and unplugged my modem. And then I came up here like nothing was wrong and logging on. I'm like, what is going on? Then I had to reset it all. But we're good now. So my apologies. So
has that been your quarantine focus? You just like building around the house and like switching stuff up?
A little bit. I mean, for a while it was literally just kind of trying to get through the days with the kids. But we are hosting my sister-in-law's wedding here in 2 weekends from now, next Friday. And
how many people?
It's small. It was going to be the big ordeal, hotels and ballrooms and all that stuff, but because of COVID, it got canceled. So we're just doing a little thing on the beach, which we're like 2 blocks off the beach, and we're all going to walk back here, have dinner. So I'm just trying to get the place ready for that and do a couple small projects, painting and just stuff like that. You know how it is.
Well, hey, before we move on, I got my 3 kick-ass producers on the phone. I got Brendan. I got Sarah. Well, we don't have slugs. I got Lexi and Riley. Guys, say what's up to James Develin.
Hi, James. Hello.
Hey guys, how you doing?
And dude, also before we move on, shouts out to Sean for making this happen.
Yeah, right. Sean from Fort Boston, love the guy.
Well, you guys did a photo shoot, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that for? New gear, new hats or something?
Yeah, he had a bunch of hats, and he was always hooking us up with sweatshirts, hats, shirts, all that stuff. And so I think Danny Amendola, Dwayne Allen at the time. We all went out, and he actually just brought a guy right to the stadium. We were like just got in from practice, got a couple guys to go out right there in Patriot Place, and we just took a couple pictures. You know,
Sweet.
You can't really make this mug look too good, so it was mostly those other guys.
Well, dude, how long's the beard taking you to develop? Because that would probably take me, I don't know, 6-7 years probably.
Yeah, I've always had facial hair. I just never let it get to this length. But I trim it every once in a while. I think the last time I saw like my chin skin, was probably 2013 maybe. So,
But
right
did
for my
you see
wedding.
chin skin when you were a brown bear?
Yeah, but I just had scruff. Just a little bit of scruff. Yeah.
Hey, well, dude, speaking of which, as I sit on the phone, I'm rocking it.
I see it. I already saw it, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Dude, so I hit up my guy. I hit up Paul, the guy who owns it. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm running an episode with James Develin. And he goes, Paul, I hope you're still tuned in. He goes, I know him well. He used to love the chicken falafel combo wrap. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yes, sir. That's exactly right. I used to live at the top of Thayer Street where Thayer met Hope. And I remember so many nights I'd be like, just getting in from the bars at like 150. And that place and Eastside Pockets closed at 2. So I would hit a dead sprint all the way down there, walk in the door at like 158. And then they give me all the baklava at the end of the night and all that stuff. So that's one of my favorite places, man. Always will be.
Dude, I would always say, yo, extra Parmesan cheese, please. Just shower it on.
Yeah.
Huge. Well, hey, man, just quick question before we like really dig into stuff. So now that you're not playing, how does your diet change? Like, are you significantly lighter than you are normally in season?
A little bit, yeah. I've kind of like adapted all my training and eating regimen around like before, for the past 10 years, it was always like performance based. I had to be ready to go the next day. And now it's kind of like I get to peel that layer back and then just kind of do things more for feel and, feeling good, looking good, trying to be aesthetically, pleasing for my wife. And so really, nutrition, I'm eating probably less calories. I might be burning more now than I ever did before. I've been like ramping my training up really for no reason, just because I feel like it. I like to put my body through suffering. And So yeah, diet hasn't changed all that much. Just, with 3 kids, I just get it in whenever I can. Like when I texted you that I was pounding a coffee, I was also just, wolfing down a burrito.
Let's
Just,
go.
just whatever I can get throughout the day to keep my energy levels up. That's what I got to do.
Now, in season, what would your maintenance calories be normally? And would you track in season?
Not really, no. I mean, in season, it was, we're burning a pretty good amount of calories while we're out there at practice. Practice is anywhere from 2 hours to 2.5 hours. And so, just I was big on like protein shakes. I was constantly behind the shake counter, just, making up little concoctions, whatever it may be, vegetables, fruits. They got it all there in the facility. So I was taking full advantage of that. And then, they always have food out too, and it's always real clean, good food. And so, I mean, shit, I'd be eating, 4 or 5 meals a day, and then, a
But like
couple
full
shakes.
meals, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I say a meal, but sometimes it was just like, peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something like that. I mean, um, so it was just kind of just taking it in however I could get it.
So you think now, like even though you're not playing, you think your energy expenditure is at as high, if not higher? Like you're just going psycho on your body?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I've been getting up at 5 a.m. every day since I retired and working out, whether it was in New England or down here in Jersey, and just kind of doing my own thing, following my own plan. I got a good buddy that owns a gym down here in Jersey. And
Oh,
so
you
we've
got
been,
lucky, bro.
yeah, I know. I
You got
know.
so lucky.
I know it was a blessing. And we just been getting after it every morning for a couple hours and uh, running and doing all kinds of hypertrophy training and all this stuff that I used to just kind of I used to let go by the wayside because I was just always focused on trying to get as strong as possible, trying to perform as best I can. And so now I've been able to kind of change my scope of training. It's been pretty cool.
I was gonna say, have you dialed back on compound lifts like deadlifts, squats,
Yeah.
snatches?
Yeah, 100%. Still squatting a lot because I loved it. I fell in love with it
What?
like 5, 6 years ago. I know,
What's
but
wrong with you, dude?
there's nothing that makes my body uh, like adapt and change more than squatting. Squatting and deadlifting, those two together, it does it for me. And I just always feel like it's a good way to like boost my testosterone and I always feel better. I know squatting, when you're in it, it sucks, but as soon as you're done, you feel so accomplished because, I mean, you're moving heavy weight and you're calling on everything in your body to get down and get back up. And so that just does it for me, man.
So are you doing more plyometric squats now, like goblet, or are you still going wicked heavy?
Still going wicked heavy. I'll always do that till I die. I feel like
Really?
yeah, I've gotten away from just a straight bar squat. I started doing safety bar where the bar comes over your
Mhm.
shoulders just to
With
keep
the
that
grips.
compression off my spine because that's kind of what happened at end my career. So um, it's just kind of adapting and figuring out ways to try to push myself.
Now, when you say end your career, like, I mean, you could never really be away from football. Like, it's been
No.
part of your life forever.
Yeah, yeah.
So, when you retired, was there like 3 days where like your brain shut off on football? Was it like the weirdest thing ever?
No, honestly, because it was, in the off season, I have a very good, um, ability to kind of compartmentalize myself. And while training is always definitely like my connection to the game of football in the off season, I get away when I come down to Jersey. I live on the Jersey Shore, South Jersey, and it's just like my little sanctuary down here, and I just kind of just live like like anybody, and it's just a good way to get away from the game of football. So doing that and then kind of making the decision to finally, announce my retirement, it was kind of like nothing had changed. I had already kind of come to grips with it when I first, found out of my injury and everything that ended my season last year. And I was kind of battling with it and talking it over with my wife and my family, and came to the decision that it was time. And so by the time I announced it, I had already, gone through every process and thought about it so much that it was kind of business as usual.
What was that like making the decision for you? Was it just like
Uh,
terrible?
yeah, yeah. Well, when I first got hurt, and then I like kind of discovered, what was really going on. It was definitely like it was a punch in the gut because I had no idea that like anything was wrong with me, and it really wasn't like that prevalent. It was just kind of an underlying thing that I had been dealing with and didn't even know it. And but it was something I just couldn't. Now that having known it, I just couldn't bring myself to play the game the same way I've always played. So it was definitely a tough conversation to have with my wife. I mean, there was a lot of tears shed, and but it was, the solace I had in it was that I was making the best decision for my family, and that was family over everything, and it always will be my number one priority. And so that made it that much easier.
I just can't imagine what it's like for you. Like you obsess over something your entire life, and just one day it's like, all right, it's gone.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, it's just, I imagine, I'm like year 4 in building my brand, right? Like
Yeah.
tomorrow they were just like, all right, there's no more GDP, it's done. I would like swan dive off the condo. Like, it'd be awful.
Yeah, dude, I've been saying this for a while now. It's actually been like almost like enlightening in some respects, like because when I was playing and I knew that I had to perform, my brain was like so focused on the game of football. It was so focused on preparing. In the season, I'm constantly, getting ready for games and preparing game plans. And then when I'm in the off season, I'm training and doing all that stuff. I know I just said that I was able to compartmentalize, but training
But
was such a
it
big
never
part.
really shuts off though.
Exactly, exactly. And now I've been able to like kind of just put that aside, and I really have been able to like expand the things I think about throughout the day, and it's been kind of cool. It's almost like getting like uninstitutionalized a little bit, because when you're in there, it's just football all day, winning, competing. And now all of a sudden, I'm just thrust into this world where it's just, there's really none of that. There still is. I mean, I'll bring that stuff to whatever I go into next, but it's just like a freedom. There's like a freedom about it that I just never experienced before. It's been pretty cool and pretty eye opening. Just about all the stuff you can get into in the world.
Yeah. So, I mean, was there anything from your Brown days that you had started like back then, like a hobby or like a side hustle that you're kind of revisiting now?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I studied engineering at Brown. I was a mechanical engineer, and so I've always been like kind of fascinated with the sciences, and I've been brushing up on, um, some like I got a couple books over by the bed. I mean, I got The Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawkins, and just like existential type stuff. It's like it's pretty out there. I read it at night and I fall asleep about 3 pages in every single night because it is deep. And I'll read like
You're reading
read
Stephen Hawking books?
yeah, I'll read a couple pages, and then I'm like lost in thought, and it's just all about like space and gravity, and now it's on. Now I just started a chapter last night on time, and like the relativity of everything. It's like, man, it's deep, and it's like stuff that I haven't even thought about because I've just been like, oh, I'm a football player, F all this stuff. I'll come back to it later, and now is later. So yeah, it's been cool to kind of reapproach all these things that used to fill my brain when I was in school.
Now, are you a religious guy?
Not really. I mean, we don't go to church. I would say I'm spiritual, not religious. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you read those science books, you're like, whoa, I am like a tadpole in this massive pond.
I know. You can go down a rabbit hole, man, and it is just bonkers what your brain can think of, and then you kind of just snap back to reality and you go back to looking at Instagram, and it's just it's bizarre.
Okay, so just quick segue. So I just kind of want to talk to you about like your Brown days. So
sure.
You're like hustling, you're like star player on the team, but your senior year that you're not going to get drafted. Does that go through your head, or are you like, I might get drafted?
No, I knew I wasn't getting drafted. I mean, it was pretty rare air to be drafted out of Brown, and
any Ivy, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, like when I was a freshman, we had Zach Diassi, long snapper for the Giants. He was drafted in the 5th round. My year, we had a guy drafted in the 7th round to the Tennessee Titans, Dave Howard. But that was like, I mean, that's been it since then. I mean, and that was, 10 years ago plus 3 for Zach. So 13 years, there's been 2 draft picks from Brown. I'd say there's probably 1 or 2 every year from the Ivy League in total. So yeah, I knew it was slim chances, but I just wanted to get an opportunity, so I knew it was going to come, whether it was like an undrafted free agent signing right after the draft or a tryout, and it ended up being a tryout.
But where did the NFL dream start for you? Like, since you were young, you always wanted to play in the league?
Absolutely. Yeah. Started playing football when I was 7, grew up outside of Philly, diehard Eagles fan for the first, 21 years. I know. Believe me, man, in 2004, when the Patriots beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl down in Jacksonville.
I was there.
Yeah. Oh, in-house, huh?
Yeah, with the Rodney Harrison pick, man.
Oh, wow. Wow, good for you. Well, I was in my friend's basement, and I was rooting hard against the Patriots. And yeah, I loved everything about football, man. And the NFL was just like, it's easy to, when you love football, it's easy to just say like, yeah, I want to play in the league, and it was my dream from the day I first put on pads. And so it was really cool to kind of follow it, even though there were some dire moments. It was really a cool journey to get to where I wanted to be when I was 7.
Well, so let's say it's the end of your senior year, like you have a fresh season. Were there a bunch of people breathing down your throat, like, hey, like, this probably won't work out, but you do have that Brown degree. You could go make 6 figures easy. Like, was that a constant conversation?
Absolutely. I mean, my parents, I had just graduated in May or June in 2010. I graduated from Brown, and I was just at my parents' house, just kind of like trying to line up interviews, but not really wholeheartedly doing it, just kind of like biding my time.
You were probably cringing doing it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm like sitting on a computer in my parents' basement, and all of a sudden I get a Facebook message from this guy who worked for the Oklahoma City Yard Dogs in the arena league, right? And I read it and I'm like, I don't know if this is legit, but let me respond. And then I go upstairs and my parents are there and I'm like, hey, I just got contacted by this guy in an arena football team, the Oklahoma City Yard Dogs. I think I might pursue it. And they're like, "Are you kidding me? We just paid for 4 years of Brown. You just graduated. Like, is this really what you want to do with that?"
Who are the Yard Dogs?
I know, who are the Yard Dogs, spelled with a Z at the end. Like, is this a joke? But I did it because I wanted to play football, and I knew that you're only young once, and I needed to get in whatever I could, and just try to see that passion through. And if I hadn't, I would have regretted it 100%.
Now the Yard Dogs dude, he was like a scout.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I know the guy who runs the Massachusetts Pirates, which is the arena team in Mass.
Yeah.
And his name's Jawadi Team. And how he'll scout players is he'll hit them in the Instagram DM. That's like an effective way to do it.
Yeah. And then back then it was Facebook. Instagram wasn't even around back in 2010, I don't think, or maybe it was just starting. But yeah, man, there's a ton of football guys out there, people that play in college and they want to pursue something past, and NFL never works out. That's why I loved the XFL for what it was going, and the USFL, and I played in the UFL. There's a lot of talent out there. It's just there's only so many roster spots on an NFL team.
So did you have a bug at the time? You're like, all right, like I still got to send it to the NFL. Like, I know I got my odds stacked against me. Like, I'm not a dumb guy, but like, I just got to send it.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew my chances were slim. I knew, that it was a little far-fetched and probably not the smartest thing to do. If I really went back in time and I sat there with the decision to go play in arena football, or pursue like an engineering job somewhere. I mean, definitely the smart thing is pursuing, the engineering degree, because then you can start making real money. You got a solid like salary-based position, and I don't know. I just kind of like went on a whim and said, you know what, let's just do this football thing. Hey, if it lasts a couple months, great. If it lasts a couple of years, great. I mean, in this case, it lasted me 10 years and I got to where I wanted to get. So, hey, hindsight's 2020, but it looked pretty good from here too. So.
Yes, sir. You got 3 rings on your fingers, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. So the Yard Dogs, I mean, the research squad was getting deep, but did you play one game with the Yard Dogs and a bunch with the Tuskers?
Yeah. So I got to the AFL. It was just a tryout. I ended up making a team. They had like 4 games left in the season. They were making a little playoff push, and then the second to last game, they got knocked out of playoff contention. So then the last game, I got in and played against the Tulsa Talons, and I really didn't do much. I had like 1 quarterback pressure, but in arena, like the ball snapped and the quarterback's throwing the ball. It's like ridiculously fast. I ran down on a couple kickoffs, like had fun because it was just like wild and like nothing I'd ever experienced. It's just like football, like sped up to like times 1,000. But
and were you you moved to Oklahoma City for the one game?
Yeah. I was down there for like a total of like 5 weeks, like from early July till, late July, really. And then from then I came back home, and again, nothing came of it. I was actually down the Jersey Shore and with my friends, and my agent said like, "Hey, I got you a tryout on Monday." This was Saturday. I got you a tryout down in Florida for the Florida Tuskers. It's as a fullback, so just get ready to do some fullback drills. And I went down there and made the team, and then and that was a really cool experience. The UFL was like a really, really unique thing at the time, and it was really such a good stepping stone for me because there's so many ex-NFL guys. I was one of 2 guys that had no NFL experience. Everyone else on the roster, it was at least in a training camp somewhere. And so it was really good good opportunity for me.
Gruden was your coach, right?
Yeah, Jay. Yep. Yeah, and then coincidentally, I went to Cincinnati right after the season, and then in 2010, finished the 2010 season on Cincinnati's practice squad, and then in 2011 they hired him as the OC in Cincinnati, Jay. So,
It's a lot of networking.
yeah. I mean, it was a perfect thing, and then I got to spend another year on practice squad there in Cincinnati. Learned a lot from their fullback Chris Presley, who I'm still really good friends with, and then the Patriots in 2012, and the rest is history.
Well, see, you sum it up like, oh, it was just like a couple of years, but like, no, like you're grinding, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a bunch of people be like, hey, man, like you should probably just like give up on this whole thing, dog. And you're like, yeah, I hear you. Like when you were on the Tuskers, in your mind, did the thought kind of start to formulate like, all right, I'm a little bit closer to the NFL? It's like that
Yeah.
was going on.
Yeah, and everything kind of like the arena was like my first stepping stone. It was my first experience playing professional football, making money playing football. And
What were the checks like back then?
the first, so I was there 4 weeks, right? The first 3 were $200 a week, and then the one game I played, I made $400, and then they'd pay you. They'd give you like food coupons to go to like different restaurants. And it was funny, like if we won, they get like a couple Mexican restaurants. This place Abuelos down in Oklahoma City that was like pretty good. But then if you lost, you get like Taco Bell. So
Torture.
yeah, I know. But we learned to love it, and it was like a kind of like a funny thing. Because then the whole team would end up going to these restaurants and stuff. It was actually a good time. And then once I went to the UFL, I kind of like graduated, and it was like another step up, but it was still right under the NFL. So I knew that I was progressing in the right direction. I just needed to get like an opportunity somewhere, and then the practice squad was the perfect opportunity for me because I was playing fullback. I'd like reinvented myself as a fullback, and I'd really never done it before. So it was a really good learning experience and some time to just kind of sit back and watch some guys do it and learn from the best.
Now, when you join the Cincinnati practice squad, you get cut like last day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, like you're grinding for like however long to the UFL, the two teams, around whatever. Like, what was that feeling like? Like, oh my God, I'm like literally right here. I put up with like all the bullshit, and you guys are really gonna turn me loose. Like,
yeah.
I would choke slam everybody.
Yeah, but I mean that's part of the NFL. People. There's so many guys every year that get opportunities, and then for one reason or another, it just like doesn't work out. So, I knew I was real close, but I wasn't giving up on my dream. I just knew when the Cincinnati door closed, I just kind of like immediately turned around and started looking for the next door to open, and then, so I really wasn't like discouraged at all. And that was one part about it. The whole process, I was never discouraged. I was never like, oh man, what am I doing out here in Oklahoma City, or what am I doing down here in Orlando? Like, I'm just spinning my wheels like of my professional career. Like, no, I just was always like, all right, I'm getting there. I just got to keep doing it. And then eventually, I just got the opportunity that really made the most sense, and went up to New England and just made things happen.
Do you believe in destiny?
I think so.
I do too.
Yeah, because certain things, and what's been boggling my mind recently too is just some of these decisions that you make as like a younger man, right? And then like 10 years pass, say, in my career, and I look back on how instrumental that one small decision was. And like some things definitely have to align for you to even get those opportunities, right? So it's like mind-boggling, the things like for right here, like where me and you are right here having this conversation. This might parlay into something 10 years from now then we don't even expect, but it's just there's got to be something to it, there's got to be. It's things just align too well, especially in my situation, for there not to be some kind of like plan.
Dude, I like couldn't agree more. It's so I started this podcast on the top of my father's union
Yeah.
like a year and a half ago, and I had no reason to ever think that it would grow. And
Yeah.
I was like in my head, I swear to God, the first episode, I was like, one day we're gonna have a Patriots player on the show. I swear on my life. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
I
you
know.
if you obsess over things for long enough, like things manifest. I mean,
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I mean, when there's something to that, man, and there's something to like, then everything that you do in the back of your mind, like you're still kind of thinking about whatever it is, that's you're obsessed about, and then it just becomes a reality, just because people start believing it, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're there.
So maybe in 10 years, you and I, we hit up Paul, we open up East Side Pockets too. That's what this is, man.
I know. It would kill anywhere. I mean, the quality is so good, and it's
yeah, we'll open one up outside Gillette, dude. We'll be making cake.
that's right.
So you get to the Patriots from the Bengals. Did you notice a difference in the organizations like immediately?
Yeah. I mean, Cincinnati is a great organization in its own right, but the one thing that I immediately noticed about New England is there was no nepotism there. There was no like ego. Everybody was kind of on the same even keel with everybody else. It didn't matter what you had done in college. It didn't matter what you had done even the year prior. It was a clean slate. The season had just started, and I got there, and it was just like, it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter, what you did in college or whatever. All that matters is what you do out here on the practice field, and then what you can do on a game field. And that was something that I really like needed, because a lot of places you can get into this thing where like, oh, he's a small school guy. Oh, he has no experience. Like, how is he going to actually get out there and, and perform for us? Well, I'm not going to get experience unless I get this opportunity, right? So New England gives everyone the opportunity to go out there and show what they can do. And so that's exactly what happened. They started giving me more and more opportunities as I was learning and progressing. And then, that first year on the practice squad, I really kind of got, grinding my teeth and just kind of got the support of my teammates, got the support of my coaches, and then the following season it all came to fruition. And next thing you know, I'm an NFL fullback.
Now, how did you differentiate yourself on the practice squad? Like, how did you? Because there's a million dudes on the practice squad who never get bumped up.
Yeah, I think it was just like my work ethic, and just my like trying to just be as precise as I can with my job, and always working, always trying to get better, and doing exactly what the coaches want me to do in every situation, and just trying to capitalize on any opportunity. I mean, anytime I was in there for a play, trying to know exactly the role I had in the play, and try to do it the best I can. And so I think they just saw that. They saw I was willing to go out there and bloody my nose for the team, and bash skulls a little bit, and have fun. And so it was just they were looking for a fullback at the time. They didn't have one on the roster, and they were looking for one. And I think I just kind of kept doing the right things in situations, and then I got more and more of those situations handed to me, and then I just kind of made it from there.
Just a quick rewind. So when you get to the Pats, not even on a team tip, as an organization, as the Patriots, like from top to bottom, like all the business side of things, the way like Gillette's operated, all of that, could you notice a stark difference? Because everyone says like the Patriots, it's like
Yeah, 100%. And I think you can kind of feel that from the organization. It's just looked upon as as like the premier team, not only because we win, but also for, how much we do in the community, and, the way Mr. Kraft handles himself, and the way the things that he does, his philanthropic stuff that he does. I mean, and like I was saying before, with that like lack of ego between players and the coaches, well, it starts right at the top. I mean, Coach Belichick has absolutely no ego, and he's the one of the, arguably the best coach to ever coach the game of football. And then you take that a notch down, the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, Tom Brady, still working like he's a 6th-round draft pick, still working like nobody believes in him. And that's just like, you see that every single day from these guys that are like at the pinnacle of what they do. And you're like, well, how could I possibly be complacent right now? These guys literally have everything, and they've worked for it all, and they deserve it all, but yet they're still working like a dog. They're still putting in all the time, all the hours, and just grinding in the weight room, and Coach Belichick watching film, and just trying to learn, constantly trying to learn. And I'm like, man, how could you possibly take your foot off the gas right now? Like, these guys aren't, so I better not, or else I'm going to be somewhere else, And so it's easy to just fall into that Patriot mindset, man. It's just everybody around there is that way, and it works and pays off big time.
My question is, how do they nurture it though? Because pro athletes, like, you get a lot of attention to yourself. It's really easy to get caught up in it. I mean, was there certain things or like certain guidelines like you get there? You're like, all right, you're a Patriot now. You don't do this. You do this.
No, I don't think they're not really looking to hold anybody's hand and try to walk them through how to be a professional. I think it's like there's a certain type of person that's kind of the caliber of football player, the caliber of man that can go in there and really flourish. And I think you see that, through the years and through like the real good teams we've had. Like, there's always like a nucleus of really good, not only football players, but really good people. And then that kind of branches down into everybody else, and everybody looks to those guys for guidance. I mean, before I was there, it was the Rodney Harrison, the Teddy Bruschi, the Willie McGinnis, Troy Brown. Yeah, Kevin Falk.
Destiny, bro.
Exactly. I mean, and and I like, Troy has been with us as a coach for like the past few years, and it's like, I mean, everything that I've seen in Matt Slater, Devin McCourty, Dante Hightower, Tom Brady, Julian Edelman that's Troy. Like, so it's just, there's constantly examples of how to operate, and then everybody just kind of emulates that. It's easy. It's really not like they're like, oh, here's what you do, here's what you don't do in New England. It's just like, you better follow along or you're not going to be here.
So when you got there and like your career starts picking up, I mean, do you know at the time, like, all right, I'm playing for like a dominant beast, or are you just kind of caught up in it and you don't even realize how nasty you guys are?
I think, definitely just caught up in it. And because, coach has a good way of humbling us. I mean, there was a couple times, I remember one year we had already won 10 games. We lost one late in the year, and you would have thought we were like 1-10, but at the time we were like 10-1, but that one game, like, the Monday meeting after the game, it was brutal, calling people out and just like going through all the lowlights of the whole game as a squad, just getting like embarrassed in front of everybody. And he had a really good way of just humbling us and just like letting us know, like, look, 10 games is going to get you nowhere in this game, in this league. So really, it was always like, there was always something more to obtain. And, then as soon as we get to the playoffs, it doesn't matter what your record was before. I mean, you're just trying to get the seeding, right? So we were always striving for that 1 seed and get home field advantage in the first round bye. And a lot of times we did. And then from there, it was, all right, well, it doesn't matter how many games we've won. It doesn't matter how dominant you were during the regular season. it's all about the postseason. It's all about what you do from here on out. So there was always something more to obtain and more to like strive for. It was never like, oh look, we've won 12 games this year, or oh, we won 14 games this year. We're going to go to the Super Bowl. No, it was like, you won 14. Well, who cares? It's, you got the Jaguars this week in the playoffs. Like, let's go.
I mean, but there was never a moment where you like sat back, you went home and like put your feet up, watched Sports Center, and you're like, damn, we are fucking killing everybody.
Well,
Close.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few games, where like, I remember.
Were you there for the Mark Sanchez butt fumble?
I was on the practice squad at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was actually at home. That was like Thanksgiving night, right, or something like that.
What'd you think when you saw that?
I know, and well, it was like what 44-3 or something like that. I was just like, oh, nice, we got a victory Monday coming up. Yeah. But yeah, there's a few games, and it was funny. It's funny you say that, because a lot of times it was like when Gronk was going off and he was just like nobody could touch him. I remember thinking like, damn, like if he stays healthy, like who's gonna stop us, And then we had like LeGarrette at the time. The one year he ran for like 18 touchdowns. So we had LeGarrette running really well. We had Gronk and Jules doing his thing, and there was definitely some fun times where I was like, shit. I mean, if we just keep doing our thing, who's gonna stop us? And then it kind of came to fruition with Super Bowl victories and all that stuff. There was definitely moments where I was like, man, we got something going here.
Was there ever I mean, this is a really dumb question because I'm sure they're all equal, but of all the Super Bowls, what was your favorite? And was it just like crushed? Was the Eagles loss just like ridiculous? Well,
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick background. So I was at Providence College at the time, and for the first two Super Bowls when we were there, so I think that was 2015. When was the back-to-back?
Well, we went to 3 straight.
Yeah.
So that was 16, 17, 18.
And won the first two, right?
14 was our first against Seattle. And then
that was the Malcolm Butler pick.
Yeah. And
what
then
was that like for you?
That's what I was gonna get to. When you said what was your favorite, it was that one. And it's twofold, because one, it was the way the game ended, and like how like just like that, oh my God, like what's going on? They're driving down the field, and then all of a sudden Malcolm picks the ball off, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, we just won the Super Bowl. And it was the first time I'd ever felt that, and it was like, it still gives me like chills just thinking about it. I mean, like getting goosebumps. Like, it's just like all of a sudden you're constantly trying to win and trying to get there to the league. And now you're playing, and now all of a sudden a play happens, and now you're a world champion. Like, it is just like, and like, so that was a feeling like I'll never forget. And then also it being my first, I never had anything to like measure that on. So, when we went 2 years later, or then the next year and the next year, I was constantly like, oh, well, down in Phoenix when we played at Seattle, it was this way. Or, when we were in Minnesota, like we played in Houston the year before, and there was always like, oh, I like that hotel better. Or this, this after party was good, but this one, like, kind of like getting spoiled, like you have all these things to call back on, but that first one was like everything from media day to the game to the after party, everything was like, I was just like a wide-eyed little kid, and it was, so that magic of the whole situation, that will always be my favorite one, and then thankfully we won it. And then you get to the Eagles game.
Real quick, sorry to even cut you off. So after that game, after the loss, my housemates at PC got a storage crate, and they propped it up in the back of our house, and they grabbed an aluminum bat and just started destroying it.
So you had like what do they call that?
There were screams through the streets.
Oh, yeah.
What was it like for you?
It was brutal. Nothing was more depressing than going to the after party after you just lost the Super Bowl, because everyone's like trying to have fun and trying to be like upbeat, but at the same time, like you were this close to like getting exactly what everybody tries to get in the beginning of the season. So it's like, it's definitely like a numb situation, but um, yeah, that game was tough, man. I mean, it was a great game for the game of football because there was so much drama to the game and so much like scoring and offense was just clicking and it's just unfortunate the way, that we just didn't have the ball at the end to win the game, but um it was
Does it still eat at you?
yeah, yeah, and it's a constant reminder because, like, I'm down here in South Jersey, right? Every day I go for a run, I see at least two or three flags of Super Bowl LII champions, or like I
Just rip it down.
yeah, I pass this one green Jeep every day on my run, and it has what was the score? Like 41-33. It has a 41-33 sticker on the back, and I look at it
On
every
the back hub, the back tire, right?
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I look at it every single day and I'm like, God damn, we were so close. And when I came back that off season, back to the Philly area, I was living like right outside of Philly at that time. Um, every street corner had like a guy with a 10 by 10 tent outside selling memorabilia, t-shirts, hats, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't get away from it. Like everywhere I went, I would go to Wawa and there'd be, there's like sandwiches named after the Philly special. I'm like, can I please just have a moment of solace right now? But it actually, I thought it was something to immediately motivate me for that following year. And, then we got back and everything's always, what have you done lately? And, so I was really proud that we were able to get right back to the Super Bowl and win it this time or the next time. And that was really cool.
So how did the administration or how did Belichick and then the coaches and GMs, how do they use the past experiences to motivate? Do you look at like the last season or is it all just like full steam ahead?
It's all full steam ahead, but in those kind of situations like that Super Bowl loss, like there's always like a pulling certain things from that just to kind of like, stoke the fire a little bit. It's not, like I said before, it's always like, what have you done lately or what can you do now? Like it doesn't matter what happened last year. Now it's a whole new season. Let's like reshuffle the deck and let's go from now, but there's always lessons to be learned and there's always things you can look from and pull from in your past that, will provide value going forward. But really it's just like some extra knowledge and stuff like that because nobody's going to crown you champion after you just lose the Super Bowl just because you were close. You're going to have to earn it all, that whole way through. And so there was definitely like a turn the page, close that story, but also every once in a while you'd open it up and just kind of check back and just like say, hey, you guys weren't good enough last year, so you better tighten up this year, kind of thing.
Now was it the same thing with like media in the clubhouse? Like, do you like shut ESPN off or is ESPN on?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean,
It's
media
on or off?
off. I mean, and it's the same, like exactly what I just said about that. Primarily, media is like yeah, it's a no to talk about up there because Coach Belichick is always, he's like, those guys only get a version of what really goes on in here, so let's just like stay in house and keep it kind of in these walls, which
I
you
know,
totally
dude.
understand.
His
But
press
there's all
conferences are hilarious.
yeah, exactly. But there's always pieces that he'll take from other people or other teams that just provide motivation. It's like another thing to stoke the fire. Like I said, there's certain there's certain things that you can like really pull on and get good stuff from from the media. So he, every once in a while you walk in and there's TVs constantly like with a schedule and everything all around the building. And every once in a while, like when an opposing team that week puts out a bad, little quote in the media somewhere, it's posted up there, like Tom Brady's too old, or Julian Edelman's no good, he's too small, like that kind of stuff. And that just provides motivation. You see that, for 6 days leading up to a game, and you're ready to go. You don't have to be told anything,
As an obsessive psycho, what's like one piece of criticism that you've received in your football career that like you always think about and like it eats at you?
Criticism.
Like, did anyone ever say anything like real negative that just stuck with you? You're like, all right, one day I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, well, there was 3 instances that I can think of, 100%, and two of them were just people flat out telling me I wasn't going to play in the NFL, and this was in high school and then in college, and I still remember the exact place. I was in AP English class, and the girl in front of me said, "Yeah, I don't know what we were doing, but I like announced that I wanted to play in the NFL." And she like turned around and was like, "You're not going to play in the NFL." And then another time it was in college, and it was kind of the same thing. A guy was like, "Dude, you're not making it to the league. Like, let's go out and party tonight," And then another one was my high school lacrosse coach. He told me I was too, or actually he didn't tell me. He told my dad that I was too slow to play football in college. And that was always my knock. That was like my sensitive spot, is I was always slow. Like even when I came out of school, I was training for my 40 and all that. I ended up running like a 5:03 40. Like I've never seen 4 on a clock when I ran a 40. So, but the speed thing was a super sensitive subject. So I will never forget that, because he had all these ideas on like, oh, you should play lacrosse, oh, you should do that. And I was like, nah, man, I just want to go play football. And so it's kind of dumb and petty at this point, but it is something that I'll never forget, because it was a sensitive subject at the time, and it still is a little bit.
Now, are you the type of dude that's fueled mostly by negativity or positivity? Because it's like one or the other.
I'd say negativity.
Yeah, me too.
I think I've always felt I had my best games after my worst games, and like when I'm real like down on myself, I'm like, God, I got to do better than that, and then, when people, obviously I still like remember, these instances where people are like, doubting me and, reading it on Twitter and stuff in the past few years, if I miss a block somewhere, and then that definitely motivates me. I mean, it's not to the point where I'm, Michael Jordan, where everyone that ever said anything bad, had to eat his words the next night when he scores 61 on them. Like, and, I don't have that type of ability, but definitely driven more by doubting and negativity than people singing my praises. That doesn't really get much out of me.
It's called operating from the dark side, man.
Yeah,
I feel
sir.
you. Quick, just quick segue. So you saw Last Dance?
Yeah.
Do you think Belichick and Brady are like they have the same competitive cycle level as Jordan? Like, did you see that?
100%. That was, and actually, I didn't have to say it. My wife, she's sitting there the whole time we were watching Last Dance together, night in and night out, and she like turned to me a few times. She was like, "That's like exactly how you talk about Tom, like these certain things." And yeah, I think there's just people that are just geared that way. They're like I was saying before, how Tom like still grinds and works like he's been slighted, like he has that chip on his shoulder constantly, no matter, he's been playing 20 years in this league, and he's done so much more than 99.9% of the league has, but he's still like just working. There's still something else that he's going after. And yeah, the one thing I always loved about Tom, and this is like what I got from this Last Dance, when we play in away stadiums, we're always like in the tunnel, and we're always like huddled up. We got the whole team right there, and there's usually a guy with a headset and he's like trying to time everything up. So he'll be like, all right, 45 seconds till you can go out, right? Well, Tom, like he like loved that negativity. Like you could hear the fans surrounding the tunnel, like talking all kind of bad about us and doing all that kind of stuff. But he like reveled in that stuff, right? So he'd a lot of times like push that guy aside and we'd go out onto the field, which we weren't supposed to, but we'd just like step a couple steps out of the tunnel just so that people could see us and start yelling. And then, like most of the time he'd like look back at us and just like, give us like a F them all, but he'd use the longer word. And it was like, that was like exactly what we all needed to hear in these like hostile environments. Like you go to Buffalo, you can't even hear, when we first walk out, because everyone hates us up there and that's a raucous crowd. And like, so feeling that, like it's the world against us. And then all of a sudden we got this guy that's like leading our team and he's like, you know what, F these guys, let's go. And then we just like run out. That was one of my favorite things about Tom, man. I mean, he always was just, he like reveled in that hate, reveled in people not liking him, and it just drove him. And so there's definitely a sense of that, like Michael Jordan, like ability to just turn nothing into something to motivate him. It's a beautiful thing.
Same thing with Belichick, kind of too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's been, all that like controversy that has happened over the past few years. I think, he doesn't speak about it, and it's really like kind of a mute point inside the walls of the stadium. But I think he loves kind of just proving people wrong. Like he doesn't, you can make up whatever story it is you want about anything that he's ever done, but he's just going to keep on doing his thing and putting a team first and trying to build the best football team he possibly can. And I mean, look, the record speaks for itself, man.
It's title down, baby.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm just gonna let my producers ask some questions real quick. B, you want to ask yours first?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, James, before I ask my question, I just want to say I appreciate the impact you've had, and we're going to really miss you and Gronk in the blocking scheme. And also, my dad actually played for Brown as a DN back in the 70s when Chris Berman was doing the play-by-play. So nice. I've been very, very excited for this episode.
Nice.
Anyways, so my question is, out of all of the unsung heroes over the years, you're one of them, along with guys like Slater and, like Dante and the coaching staff. Who's an unsung hero that Pats fans don't know about, either on the team or the organization, that really gave you guys an edge?
Okay. I can do both on the team and off the team. On the team, one guy that has really like opened my eyes to a lot is David Andrews. He was injured last year. He had like the blood clot issues in his lungs. But that guy is so in control of the offensive line. And, when I got hurt, I was able to like really look at the game through a different lens, because I was like, all right, I'm not playing anymore. Let me just try to like watch everybody else and focus on, the whole kind of like ensemble that comes together in the offensive football team. And I really like realized how much goes into playing center, because he's talking, obviously to his offensive lineman, but also communicating with the quarterback, and like his ability to control it. And then also he's a little bit undersized for like a normal, NFL offensive lineman, but his ability to kind of like use the size that he does have and the leverage aspect is like, it's been really awesome to see him develop, when he got there as an undrafted guy. And he's really just been like such a key cog, playing center for us. So on the team, I'd say him. James White, obviously, I mean, he's getting, a lot of love, well-deserved love recently, but he is just somebody that I am constantly in awe of, because he's just the way he handles himself, but also his play is just like second to none. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a guy more in tune with the ability to play running back, but also be a protection back, catch the ball. Everything that he does is just like, premier elite talent. And then outside of the team, I'd say one, Nancy Myers. It's a name that you probably have never heard, but she's the director of our scouting department. And also she kind of like wears a ton of hats in there. I like to think of her as like our team mom, so to speak. I mean, she handles everything. She handles our traveling, like to and from training camp. A lot of like the accommodations with like hotels and everything during camp, or when you first get there. If you're being brought in from another team, she's the first person you talk to in the organization. She handles everything, and there's like nothing Nancy can't do. And she will forever have a good, soft place in my heart, because, she was the first person that I ever talked to, in connection with the Patriots. And then secondly, our equipment staff. We have the youngest head equipment guy that has ever been in the NFL, Brendan Murphy. And he's got a bunch of guys that just work their tail off.
How old is he?
I think like in his late 20s, 28, wow. 29.
Hustler.
Yeah. And he's been working there forever. His grandfather has worked for the Patriots for 30, 40 years. And he used to bring Brennan in as like a teenager, and he just helped, doing laundry and all that kind of stuff. And then he just slowly worked his way up. And then 3-4 years ago, he got the head position, and he's handled it like a champ. And he does everything. It's like, you kind of take it for granted at times, because they are just so on top of everything. If you have a personal need for your cleats or your shoulder pads, or you like your jersey cut a certain way, they just take care of it for you. And it is just like, wow, you like, and again, when I got hurt, I was able to like step back, and I spent a lot of time with him and his one of his guys on his staff, Mike Redman, and I was just able to like just see how much work they do, and they just do it with a smile on their face. And so it's just got people like that, even in the training room, Jim Whalen, a guy who's been there for, going on 20 years. And he's just like, he's seen it all, done it all. He handles himself, so well. And you just like put all your trust in these people, because they help you, just go out there and do your job. And so you really learn to appreciate all these people in the whole organization, That was a long-handed question for a long answer for a short question.
It was a great answer. Hey Riley, do you want to ask your question? Listen, I'm just gonna preface. Riley before has put my life on the line with the questions, so we'll see what she comes up with. Young Nancy Drew, hit him.
Oh my goodness. So since concussions and CTE are prevalent in football, are you worried about your son playing the sport?
Great question. No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because yes, I think like there's definitely this dramatization of CTE and concussions in football, but really all sport. I think it's kind of one of those things where like, there's definitely that going on, and I don't want to downplay that situation, because that is like an incredibly delicate thing. And I know that it's been a tragedy in a lot of respects, but I think that the game of football is kind of being, there's like an attack on the game of football in some respect. I think, there's also a ton of people that play the game and are fine. There's always like outliers in every situation. And so you gotta kind of take the good with the bad and understand it. I will always allow my kids to play football. I'm in no way going to force them to do it, but if they want to play, I'm 100% behind it. I will teach them all I know about playing it safely, and trying to teach them the best way, to play the game and stay safe. But I also think there's a benefit to learning how to play the game of football when you're younger, when you're less likely to injure another person because you're just not strong enough yet. You don't move fast enough. Um, I think there's a good, way to learn how to hit, learn how to take a hit at a young age where like really, you're kind of fighting with pillows, and then so you can kind of progress as you get older. Or if you start when you're in high school and you're running around at 4.5, 4.6, some people, and you start hitting then, and your body's not used to it, your neck's not used to it. I think that's when you can really get hurt. So I think there's a benefit to starting young, and I think if my kids are down, I'll be right there to support them.
Well, dude, your kids better be some animals, man. D1, baby.
Nah, I don't want to put any added pressure on it, but I will wholeheartedly support them in a game of football because I think, the game of football teaches you so much about being a part of a team, and teaches you just how to grind and put other people ahead of yourself, and I hope that they, pursue it as a passion because it's something I'm passionate about, so we can share that together,
I was terrible, but it made me less soft.
Yeah.
It made me way more mentally tough.
Yeah.
I joined my varsity team when I was a junior. I was like probably the worst in the program. I just got obliterated like every practice, every game.
Yeah.
I was like Rudy.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing though. I mean, football is a tough, violent sport. So you have to be ready to suffer some pain. There's violence in it, and so there's parts where you're going to struggle through situations where your shoulder's dinged up and you still got to play, or like you just took you just got smashed and you got to get yourself out of the dirt and line back up and do it again. So I think there's like so many things that you can take from the game of football that I just think are so valuable to becoming a man and becoming a good human being and really being humbled too. I think football is a really good way of humbling people because everybody gets got when you play football. It doesn't matter how long you play for, you're gonna get it sometime, and so those are valuable lessons.
Hey, Lexi.
Hello. Is it my turn for a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Did it?
Perfect. So, James, you played in the NFL a couple years ago when kneeling for the anthem was a hot topic issue. What was your opinion on it then, and has your opinion changed at all since racial tensions have intensified in the past couple weeks?
Also a great question. My opinion on it then was, it was definitely a delicate thing. I wholeheartedly supported, what they were kneeling for then, and I still do today. It was, there's definitely like I feel like there's a little bit of a miscommunication as to like the, why they're kneeling and then how they're doing it, during the national anthem. I think there's like a little bit of a disconnect. People can't quite, make the connection, but yeah, it's definitely a worthy cause, and it's one that I, will always support. And, a lot of my teammates up in New England, there was a time before, when that was like the big thing, they all took a knee, and, it was kind of like it had mixed receivings, and we kind of got like a little bit of backlash for it, but then we just decided from then on out, we'd all stand, next to each other with our hand on the next person's shoulder. And, that was our way to kind of show like the unity in the situation. And, so I think there's value to it. There's value to, kind of making that peaceful protest in that situation. And so I'm all about, just trying to further that cause.
And the Patriots are always really interesting when it comes to social issues. Like it just seems like you guys just like internalize everything, which I think is like kind of the best way to do things sometimes.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we had a lot of player only conversations, and then also conversations with coaches, and we all just kind of wanted to come to an agreement on how we were going to handle it all. And so it was there was a lot hashed out between everybody in the organization, and how we wanted to represent the New England community. And so I 100% agree with you on that. I think there's always just our leadership always just kind of steered us in the right direction, and it opened up the floor for whoever has feelings, get them out there, and we'll talk about it, and we can all come to like a compromise and do what's best for all of us. And yeah, so it was cool to be in there, in those situations, because I think a lot was learned. There was a lot of people like kind of expressing feelings and emotions, and so it was really really unique thing to be a part of, and I appreciate it.
I don't want to hold you too long. Is Slugs with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Slugs, the
What a
come from
nickname.
behind
That's
queen.
great.
Hello. I have a question. I was wondering, I recently tore my meniscus, and
Ooh.
it's a difficult thing to be dealing with. And I was wondering when you got injured in 2015, how did you stay motivated to keep learning about football and keep working hard? How did you stay motivated?
You snapped your leg, right?
Yeah, I broke my tibia. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was weird. It was like such a freak accident. But yeah, that was the first time I had ever been really significantly injured in my whole football career. It's the first time I missed a game. In like up to that point, it was like 20 years of playing football. First time I missed a game. And it was like a tough pill to swallow, and it was like brutal. Because I never really not had the ability to like walk on my legs.
how'd it happen in game?
Yeah, it was in a preseason game. We were down in Carolina, and I actually caught a pass, and I was getting tackled, and the guy like swung me around because I was trying to like spin out of it, and my legs spun. My one leg spun, my other leg was still on the ground, and it like kicked off of a guy's helmet, and then just snapped. And it was like a clean break. It didn't like do
It was
that.
like the Paul George.
Yeah. No, there was no blood. There was nothing spoken through the skin. So I actually just thought I really like slammed my shin. I thought it was bruised. So I tried to stand up, and then I like clicked, and I felt pain that I had never felt before. So I just laid back down and waited for them to bring the cart over. But yeah, staying motivated. It was, I stayed up there for my rehab in New England, and I was able to kind of go to meetings every once in a while, kind of stay a part of it. And then my new goal had shifted from being the best player that I could be to trying to rehab and become the player that I was before, if not better. So I just kind of shifted my goal, shifted my drive. And I had a really good group of people that I was rehabbing with, like the director of rehab at the time, Sean Jordan, who then since went on with the Bruins, and now I believe he owns his own clinic in New Hampshire. Really smart guy, always pushing me. And then a couple teammates that I trained with at the time, we all just we just wore it as a badge of honor. Like we were the rehab crew, but we were like going to go out there and push it. And then once we started, progressing and I could start lifting again, then I just, try to get after it because I didn't have football to take my time up. So I would just, rehab and lift and work out. And I just spent so much time in a weight room. Actually I came back and like set PRs on the squat the following year. So it was just like a shifting of priorities. It wasn't being a football player anymore. It was now just recovering and being the best athlete I can again. And I actually like taught myself a lot of in the rehab process, because you kind of break everything down into such small things when you're just trying to like use your foot to like walk and then start to run, and you start to realize like, oh man, I've been running all jacked up for so long. Like it was a ability to kind of teach myself how to do everything again from like such a fine point of view. It was valuable time, honestly.
You became James Devlin the Bionicle.
Yeah, still got a little steel rod in there. So
whoa. Hey, Jake Quinn, if you're tuned in, dude, I lost your voicemail. You're gonna kill me. My college roommate was like, he had a fire question for you, but I do have one more question from a man named Sid Warrenbrand.
sure.
Little voice memo. Hold up. All right, Sid, it's not working. I think Sid's question was who was the hardest person you ever had to block?
Easy question. Landon Roberts. He's a Patriot for the past 5 years. Now he's since moved on to Miami this offseason. And dude, it just has like no regard for like human life when it's like when he like locks in on you and you're a fullback or a guard or whatever trying to block him. And he's a relatively like a smaller guy for a linebacker. I mean, I think he's like, maybe 6 foot, probably like 240, maybe 250. But built like so stout and just low to the ground and uses that leverage and has like just this final step into contact and pop. I mean, we've had like some hellacious collisions in training camp and in practice. And just last year they mandated the first couple of days of pads. He and I could not hit each other. If we could not be in the same play, if it was like a direct run, because they didn't want either of us to get injured, So Bill actually said like, we don't want to see it. We don't want
the battle of the Titans.
James. Yeah. And it was, the guy was just like reckless. And you look through the years, he was dropping Joe Thomas, he offensive linemen that outweigh him by 100 pounds. He'd just go and like put them right on their ass. It was ridiculous. The guy could just like hit like nobody I've ever seen. But really it like was valuable for me because going against him in practice every day, and we had a really good relationship. Like we knew when to turn it on and when to turn it off and when to like kind of play it good. But training camp, it was always on, and it always is because you're competing then.
So in the locker room, he was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna try to snap your back."
yeah. It really was like that. And then he was just he was a machine when it came to hitting, man. And he's put it on tape. You can look. The Super Bowl against the Rams, he put. They have a real good guard. His name is fleeting me right now, but he came up to the second level to block you, Landon, and he just like sent them right back in, and then made the tackle right on top of him. It's like it's beautiful to see, but it was also awesome to be able to go against that in practice and then be able to learn. And if I came in too high, he was going to let me know it. So I always knew to keep my pads down in practice, and then I try to translate that into the game, and it worked.
You guys should get matching tattoos.
Yeah,
that'd be fire.
Gosh, brothers.
Okay. Well, hey.
Can I ask one more question from the research squad?
Let's do it.
Sure.
Yeah, we just wanted to know, James, who do you think the most attractive Patriot?
I was gonna ask that, Lexi. I was gonna ask that. What's wrong with you, man? Let me do my thing over here. Can't get any respect around here, dude. This was my question because I think it's a debate. I was asking the girls on the team. I was like, "Yo, which Pats player do you guys like have the biggest crush on?" And they were like, and I tossed in the classic names like, "Yeah, you're a handsome dude. I'm a handsome dude, but these other dudes, they might have a step up on us."
Yeah.
Who do you think's the most handsome Pats player is? Edelman, Brady, Garoppolo, or Amendola?
Oh,
or Chandler Jones?
I don't know, man. That is a tough question. And when they're all like dressed up, like when we're going away games, it's like, what are you competing against each other? Like, you guys look so good, and I'm just over here trying to like slap something together, slap a tie on, and yeah, it's it's a tough question, man. Tough question. I will
Dude,
say
I
that,
said Brady.
yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, he's kind of the godfather of like the good-looking Patriots, you know. He was the original one. Um, yeah, and then Danny is just so cool, you know. He's like effortlessly cool. But you know who's
Pause.
got a good look? And again, who's got a good look right now is David Andrews. I was just talking about. He's got a freshly shaved mullet. And dude, it's an elite haircut. I'm sure it'll get a lot of publicity once the NFL starts back up. But dude is looking pretty suave with a mullet. He got some steps in the side every once in a while. So yeah, Tom. I gotta go Tom.
You know what these girls said? They were like Amendola, hands down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, everybody's got different tastes, you know.
I was like, you're talking about the GOAT. You better watch your mouth. Well, hey man, I really, really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it, and maybe we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So listen, we have two ending bits. The first one is called GDP sales mode.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna pull up my phone. I'm gonna pull up the stopwatch, and I'm gonna give you the floor for 40 seconds to pitch or say whatever you want. And I don't know if you're like selling any products right now, like a book or something. Like that's usually what you do. But if you just want to hit us with some of that Stephen Hawking talk, we could do that too.
All right. Shit. This is pressure.
Let me just pull it up real quick. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sales mode, go.
All right. So this is James Develin, ex NFL fullback with the New England Patriots, and today I'd just like to talk to you about working hard. You know, I think everybody is we're getting into this laziness right now. We got, you know, the coronavirus. We were in our homes for 3 months, and now we're, you know, being born out into the world again. So let's all just kind of let's just like strap it back on, get your lunchbox and go back to work, and let's all get it done again. Come on.
Done.
Yeah, that was weak.
All good.
But that's also tough. I mean, I don't even know what to talk about.
Well, dude, you put him on the spot, but I mean, clearly you're a workhorse. If the only thing you can think about is hard work,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And hey, this is how we start and end the show. So you say, hi, your name, James Develin.
Yeah.
This is my golden hour. Directly after no break, hi, your name, and that was my golden hour.
Say that again. Hi, James Develin.
Hi, I'm James Develin, and this is my golden hour. And
Okay.
hi, I'm James Develin. That was my golden hour.
Okay. Hi, I'm James Develin, and this is my golden hour.
Bang.
Hi, I'm James Develin, and that was my golden hour.
Well executed from an Ivy League guy, man. Hey, thank you so much for doing this.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
And listen, I'm gonna, after when we're done with this, I want to get your address so I can ship you a new sweatshirt.
All right, nice.
Oh, yo, Paul, if you're still tuned in, me and James would love to show up to the shop sometime soon and test out that new chicken Caesar salad, baby.
I know Thayer Street looks so much different now, man, but Eastside Park is still just holding on to the roots, man. It's awesome.
Well, there's a Chinese spot right across from now called Chinatown. You probably saw it your last year, right?
I don't know. I don't think I remember that one.
Hey, what was the name of that sandwich place? Not on Thayer Street. It was like
Meeting Street Cafe.
No. Meeting Street Cafe is where you can eat like a gluttonous pig at all hours of the night.
Yeah.
No, what's the name of that sandwich place where you like show up, they give you the pickle?
Oh, Jeff's. Yeah, that's like down the hill a little bit. That is a good spot.
More so RISD, right?
Yeah, right on RISD's campus, and it's like everything's like chalkboards. They got everything written on it. Yeah, that's Jeff's Superlative Sandwiches.
That place is smacking.
Yeah.
And hey, Sean from Fort Boston, thank you again. And could your kids rock a small? Because I got some smalls too.
Yeah, probably. I mean, my oldest is 4, but he'll grow into it.
I mean, hey man, he better go D1.
Let's hope, man. We'll see.
All right, brother. Hey, thank you so much, man. I
All right,
appreciate you.
guys. Yep. Have a good one.
Have a good one, bro.